This
method.
conference will now be recorded.
And these are the topics yesterday we have learned: how to delete the browser cookies, how to capture the title of a page, how to capture the URL of a page, how to close the current browser and all browsers open in the current session, and how Selenium identify elements present in a web page. Selenium offers find element one method, find elements another method in order to identify the elements to perform some action. In manual testing, we find the element, we perform some action, we interact with the element. When it comes to test automation, we have to make Selenium to interact with the element. If Selenium want to interact with the element, means if Selenium want to enter some data in a text box, if Selenium want to click a button, if Selenium want to click a link or image or whatever, first we have to make Selenium to identify the element. In order to find the elements present in a web page, Selenium offers find element and find elements method. Find element used to identify a single element present in a web page. Find element used to identify multiple elements present in a web page. In order to find the element, Selenium needs some properties of the element. The properties are nothing but the locators. So today's topic is, so what are the various properties or the locators used by Selenium to identify the element? I repeat, the today topic, locators, also called properties used by Selenium to identify elements. Locators are properties used by Selenium to identify the element. Let's see. So what are all the various locators or properties used by the Selenium to identify the element? Right. Just a minute. Just hold for a minute. Well, so what are the locators or the properties used by Selenium to identify the element? The Selenium offered or provided, so generally, first of all, what is finding the element, identifying the element? See, we can recognize a person by with the help of the photograph or image property. name property. We can identify a car based on the model or a color or the vehicle registration number. For example, you went to a ground, a cellar, where there are 100 cars are parked. Out of 100 cars, 100 elements, elements are nothing but objects present in a page. Let's say there are about 100 cars parked in a cellar. You want to identify a car, particular car. You need the car vehicle registration number, maybe some other properties if required, additional properties, color, name, brand name, so that we can easily identify the car. Similarly, in a web page, there are many elements will be present. Look at this one. Let me open some, okay, Facebook application. Here, we are seeing many elements here. Email ID, password, login button, first name, last name, mobile number, new password, some drop-down list, some radio button, some links, some images. There are many elements available here, correct? Text boxes, drop-down lists, radio buttons, images, links. There are many elements available in the page. If you are able to make Selenium to identify element, email ID, then only we can able to instruct the Selenium enter some data into this particular element. If I am able to make Selenium to identify a button, then only I can able to instruct Selenium click that particular button. If I simply say Selenium, click a link, if I simply say to Selenium, click a link, the question to the Selenium, there are many links available in the page, which link have to be clicked. We have to give some details about the link, properties of the link. So, how Selenium identify the elements present in a page? Selenium provided 8 predefined locators. Properties are locators, both are same, to identify elements. Selenium offers 8 predefined locators to identify the elements. So what are the locators? HTML ID property. It's nothing but HTML ID property. The name property. First of all, let us what are these properties? See. Now here, you answer me how to view the properties of any element from the web page. I want to see some HTML properties of the element. How to view the HTML properties of the element? The Selenium identify the elements based on its HTML properties. My question, how to view the properties of any element present in a web page? Inspect. Correct. Inspect elements. Inspect element. Good. Now, I right click on this text box, email. Lastly, I have an option, inspect. Now, when I move the mouse over here, you observe these are the few properties of that element. What are the properties we are seeing here? You please observe there is ID property. There is a name property. There is a class name property. There is a type. Input is a HTML tag name. Like this, there are many properties here. Using these properties, Selenium will identify the element. One element may have a number of properties. What Selenium community did, they have given 8 predefined locators to identify any element present in a web page. First, we go with the ID. If ID is not available, better to choose the name. Likewise, there are few more HTML properties we can use to identify the element. Few more locators given in the Selenium. What are the other locators available in the Selenium? Class name. tag name. Yesterday I have used link text. There's one more, partial link text. Some part of the link text. The very important one, export. We'll talk about export in detail. And TSS selector. These are the 8 predefined locators available in Selenium to identify the element. Here, first we go with ID property or name property. If element don't have ID or name property, then only we look into other locators. So these are the 8 locators offered by Selenium to identify any element. Now, okay. This Selenium code invokes RNHRM application. Let us run this code. After invoking the RNHRM application, I want to make Selenium to identify the username element, this one, so that I can be able to make Selenium to enter some data here. So what I will do, I right click on the username element, inspect, or you can click this arrow icon, highlight the element. These are the properties of that element. You observe there is a ID property. When I double click here, the ID property will be selected. I'm copying the ID property of the username element. Then my code will be like this. I'll make Selenium to identify the element using find element. After invoking the RNHRM application, I'll make Selenium to identify the element by its ID. Here we have to use the locators to identify the element. By the ID, I already copied the ID, I pasted the ID. After finding the element, what is the action to be performed? There is a method available in the Selenium WebDriver sendKeys, which is used to send some data into the identified element. Supposing here, admin. So invoke RNHRM application, identify the username element. See, we are not saying username. Identify some element whose ID property is txt username. Send keys used to enter some data, send some data into the identified element, admin. Now let me run this code. What I do, I close the browser. Let us run this code. Did you observe? Your Selenium entered some data into the username element, admin. Now in the same way, I want to make Selenium to identify the password element, enter some data. Now I'm inspecting the properties of the password element. I'm inspecting the properties of the password element. Okay, there is ID property available. Even this time, let me use the name property. Here, there is a name property. I'm copying the name property of the element. And here, I write the code driver dot find element by its name. This time I'm using name property. The ID is the best property to identify any element. Most of the elements, 90% of the elements will have ID property. Because if really a website is designed by following coding standards, every element should have an ID property and every element should have a unique ID property. So 90% ID property is the best to identify any element present in a page. And some element may have ID, may not have ID. If ID is not available, then only we have to look into other properties. Okay, to teach how to use different locators, this time though ID available for the password, I'm using the name property. Now I want to enter my password. Keywords 123, shift 123. It's my password. Now I want to make Selenium to click the login element. I'm inspecting the properties of the login element. Here we have a name property, or we have ID property. We have value property. As ID available, I can go with ID. I can go with ID. Or here name available, I can go with name. Okay, now driver dot find the element by name. Oh, sorry. I have to capture the name property. Submit. I'm copying the name property. Enter some data. Oh, sorry. Not entering data. We have to click it, right? Dot click. I want to perform the click action on the submit button. Now let me run this code. The Selenium entered username, password, and click login. Your Selenium entered username, password, and click login. Now I want to make Selenium to click the link, welcome link. Welcome link. I want to make Selenium to click the welcome link. Here, what is the text appearing? Please ping me your answer. What is the text appearing here? Welcome. Right. Here, supposing my account is registered as admin. I log in as admin. It is showing welcome Suresh. If other person login say Richard, it will show welcome Richard. If other person login, it will show welcome John. But here welcome is a constant. Suresh, John, Richard, Ramesh, that is based on the username. So what I'm trying to say, welcome is constant, rest of the value is dynamically changing. See, finally it is a link. Yesterday what we have used, link text we have used. But here the link text value dynamically changes. Some part of the link text is constant, some part of the link text is dynamically varying. Better to use partial link text, another locator, this locator. Partial link text I am using this time. So my code now, driver dot find the element by its partial link text. What is the partial link text we have to use? Welcome dot click. It clicks a link whose partial link text is welcome. Then after clicking this welcome, I want to make Selenium to click the logout. Another link it is. Logout is the link. You tell me what is the locator you want me to use now? I want to make Selenium to click this logout. What is the locator you want me to use here? In this 8 locator, which locator is the best one? Link text, correct. Link text. What is the link text here? Logout. So driver dot find the element by its link text logout dot click it. Now Finally, I want to close the browser after this. Driver.close. Let me run the script. To understand different locators, how to use different locators, I prepared the first program like this. Let me run this code. Yes. Okay. Here, we face some exception. What is the exception we have received here? What is the exception we have received? No such element exception. Well said. Generally, when we receive no such element exception, friends, when we receive no such element exception, if selenium, for any reason, if selenium not able to identify the element, if selenium not able to identify the element for any reason, definitely selenium will throw an exception, no such element exception. So here, welcome Suresh. Partial link text is welcome. Okay, first of all, we should know which element it is not able to identify. There are many elements in our script. Which element it was not able to identify? Let us check out. No such element. Unable to locate the element. Which element? Oh, logout. Selenium not able to locate logout element. Unable to locate the element with the link text logout. No, the link text is correct, logout. We have given the correct link text. Check in the code. Check in the script. Maybe if I make any spelling mistake, it's okay. But perfectly I given the link text logout. There is no problem in my script. I given the logout only. But actually what is happening, after clicking submit button by the Selenium, your application will take some amount of time to process, right? Try to understand it. So Selenium entered a username, the Selenium enter password and click login. It takes a minimal amount of time to process the request. It's taking maybe 1 or 2 seconds, some 2 seconds minimum to process the login request. But here, what Selenium is doing, after clicking the submit, immediately Selenium trying to identify the element. Application processing the request, Selenium not waiting. Did you ask Selenium to wait anyway? Did you ask Selenium wait for some amount of time? No, right? See, by default, Selenium will wait for 0 seconds to identify the element. So what I will do here, after clicking submit button, in Java, there is a class thread. There is a method sleep method which suspend the program execution for specified amount of millisecond. Specified amount of millisecond. Now I am giving 5000 milliseconds. It means 5 seconds. Here we need to add some exceptions for this. Now after clicking submit button, whenever thread.sleep statement encountered by Java or by Selenium now, it waits for 5 seconds, hoping that in between 5 seconds this page will be loaded. After 5 seconds, Selenium try to find the element. I hope this time Selenium will not face any problem in finding the element. Let us execute this code. Now here Selenium waiting for 5 seconds, page loaded. After 5 seconds, Selenium finding the element and performing the action. So here also we get again we face the issue. Mhm. Unable to locate the element logout. One. Here we are getting a problem. Just a minute. Comment here. We are not getting any problem still clicking on the welcome. After clicking welcome, we are getting an issue. Here we made Selenium to wait for some amount of time, then click the logout. Now perfectly it was executed. You observe there are no errors now. No such element exception, no. So perfectly the program was executed this time. So we need to identify once a test case is created, we need to run the script at least one time. We have to understand if there are any problems are occurring, then we need to address the problem. Finally, this program just I demonstrated to use different locators. So you understood this one? Please confirm you understood the script. Yes, very good. Then a small assignment to you in the same way, a small assignment to you, not the same RNHRM application, take some other application. I hope everybody you have the Facebook account, right? No? No, you don't have Facebook account? Okay, otherwise, take Gmail application. You have to write the code to enter some username, your email ID, click next button, enter password, click next button. You prepare the script for the Gmail login. Prepare a script for Gmail login. So I'm giving one example here for today. RHRM login script. This is the RNHRM login code. I'm putting here. The exercise for you. This you have to do. Prepare script for Gmail login. This is your assignment. I'll wait for 5 minutes. You write the code for Gmail login. Did you start the work? Right. Have you completed it? Please confirm completed. It's working. Manidhar, it's working. Done. Done. Good. Let me do this. So first, access the Gmail application. Then we have to make Selenium to identify the email or phone this element. I'm inspecting the properties of this element. Here, you have any ID property? Yes, there is ID property here. Identifier ID. I'm copying the ID property of the element. I code driver dot find the element by its ID, then enter some data and key. I'm giving some email ID here, demo.keywords. Already I have an account, demo.keywords, that account I have given. Then you have to make Selenium to click the next button. I'm finding the property of this element, next button. There is ID property here, identifier next, ID property. So find the element by its ID, then perform the click operation. Click method used to perform click action on any element. So we made Selenium to, I'm doing manually. We made Selenium to enter some data and click the next button. Okay. So generally, I'll open another browser. Yes. So for this reason, we are using deleting cookies. When I run through the Selenium, the cookies will be deleted. Here we are entering a username demo.keywords. Next button, it will ask the password. But we observe after clicking the next button, it takes some minimal amount of time to process the request. It takes some amount of time to process the request. Better use red dot click. Let me introduce you another option here. By default, I said Selenium wait for 0 seconds to identify the element, right? We can make Selenium implicitly wait for some amount of time to identify the element before throwing no such element exception. We can make Selenium implicitly wait for some amount of time. Say, for example, 20. What is this 20? Time units we can configure 20 seconds. So what is the difference between thread.sleep and this one? If I go with thread.sleep, supposing here I have to write thread.sleep. In some other area, again, it is taking some amount of time. Again, I have to write thread.sleep. Instead, if I configure a driver level, I'm configuring the browser timeout. Implicitly wait for 20 seconds while executing this test case. Meaning, while executing this program, to identify any element, I repeat, while executing this program, to identify any element, Selenium will wait up to 20 seconds for finding the element before throwing no such element exception. We are making Selenium implicitly wait up to 20 seconds for identifying the element before throwing no such element exception. If Selenium is able to identify the element in 5 seconds, it won't wait for remaining 15 seconds. If Selenium is able to identify some element in 2 seconds, it don't wait for remaining 18 seconds. The maximum time Selenium can wait to identify the element is 20 seconds. If I configure at browser level, here and there, I no need to write thread.sleep. So for identifying any element, hereafter Selenium will wait up to 20 seconds. Within 20 seconds, if still Selenium not able to identify the element, then only finally it will throw a exception, no such element exception. Now, I'll make Selenium to identify the password element. Here, there is a name property available password. I'm copying the name property of the element. So driver dot find the element by its name, then click it. Oh, sorry, not click it. We have to enter some data here, right? Dot, then keys. I'm giving some sample data, say QA type. So now your Selenium will include QA type. Then I want to make Selenium once again click the next button here. I'm inspecting the properties of the next button. Here, there is ID property available password next. I'm copying the ID property of the next button here, password next. So now my code, driver dot find element by the ID password next dot click it. So let me run this code now. Let's run this code. I close all the browsers open in my desktop. Let's run this code. Your Selenium, open the browser, accessing Gmail, deleting cookies, I entered username. The browser or app may not be secure. Maybe because of the security settings, it is not going. We'll do one thing. In my system, in the Chrome browser, I have configured some security settings. Let me change it to Firefox. The Google Chrome browser, there is a setting like that, security setting, as it is Gmail login. It invokes the Firefox, enter username, click next button. Mhm. Off. So please observe this time, we have received another exception. Element is not interactable. Element is not interactable. But to show you different exceptions only, I'm giving you this. Later we talk about what is this element is not interactable, because Selenium is able to find the element. Selenium is able to identify the element, but not able to interact with the element. For that, we have to implement some explicit condition. It is too early to discuss about the explicit condition. We'll discuss about it. Conversation here. See, okay. I'll go with the thread or switch now. Click the next button, and I'm using thread or sleep because I have to discuss about the explicit condition. Maybe after 2 sessions, I'll discuss about the explicit condition. I do not want to confuse you this time. So here I am making Selenium to wait for some 2 seconds. Enter the password and click next button. Let me run this code again. Better, this cannot be programmable. You know, Selenium cannot, any software cannot read the captcha. Okay. So better, because of the security reasons, we are not able to automate the Gmail login. We'll go with another example. I'll go with primusbank.qatech.com. See, there is a captcha available. We have observed no software can read the captcha. That cannot be programmable. Now, invoke the Primus Bank application. Better don't practice this Gmail login, because different security reasons we are not able to do it. Primus Bank admin login. So after invoking the Primus Bank application, I want to enter my username here, admin. Here, some people have posted a question, how to see the ID property. Right click on the element, inspect element. And here, we are seeing the properties of that element. If there is ID property here, when I double click, if I double click here, you are able to copy the ID property. I'm copying the ID property of the username element. So now, driver dot find element by its ID, then keep the username value admin. Then I want to enter password here. Okay. If I able to key some data, then only I am able to perform some action on the password element. Inspect the element, password element. And we have ID property as well as name property. This time I'll take the name property. I'm copying the name property of the element. Then driver dot find element by its name and keys admin. Password also admin here for the training application. Now I want to make Selenium to click this login. There is ID property available login. I'm copying the ID property login. Now my code driver dot find element by the ID, then click it. So now I'll close all these browsers. There are no browsers in my desktop. Let us run this code. Here, just to teach you how to use ID property and name property, I have delivered these two examples. Your Selenium entered username, password, and click login. Your Selenium entered username, password, and click login. Now I want to make Selenium to click this logout. Logout. Let me find the properties of this logout. Right. You please observe these are the properties of the logout. Which property you want me to use? Which property you want me to use? See the properties and tell me. See the properties and tell me which locator you want me to use. We are seeing the HTML property. Do we have ID property for that element? Do we have ID property of the element? No. Well, do we have name property? Is there any name property for that element? No. Then which property you want me to use? Somebody answered me link text. Somebody answered me link text. First of all, do observe it is not a link, it is an image. You please observe the HTML tag name img. Here img meaning it's an image element, not a link element. If it is a link, then I go for link text or a partial link text. If it is a link element, then only I can use either link text or partial link text. Correct? There is no ID property, there is no name property. It's not a link. If it is a link, I go with link text or partial link text. So here there is a property available. In fact, tag name also one of the locator. What is the tag name here? What is the tag name of this element? What is the tag name for this element? HTML tag name I am asking. Tag name. So please observe clearly. Tag name. So you don't know what is XML tag name? img. img is the tag name here, image. See here the tag name is td, table data. Here the tag name is anchor. Here the tag name is a table. Here the HTML tag name is img. Do observe, there is one of the locator tag name. There is a locator tag name. I can use a tag name also to make Selenium to identify the element. But the problem here, what find element will do, supposing if I write my code like this, driver dot find element by the tag name. What is the tag name there? img, and click it. This is the code I have created. We can make even Selenium to identify the element based on the tag name img. Okay, find element. Find the element whose tag name is img, then click it. That is the statement. That is the instruction to the Selenium. Well, you please observe here. Yesterday we learned about the find element. You please read this. It returns the first web element matching the given property. It returns first web element matching the given property. Means when I run this query, Selenium identifies first element whose tag name is ing. See, this logo also a image. What is the tag name of this logo? Please answer me. What is the tag name of this logo? ing. So what Selenium will do now? If I use tag name ing, what Selenium will do when I run the code? It click the first image, Primus Bank logo. So here tag name available for the logout, but not recommended. Here tag name available, but these are in this scenario we should not use the tag name. So finally, what is the best property here to identify the element? src. So there is a image location. Okay. I'm copying the src property of the element. Image source location of the element. Now let me write the code. This time I want to use src property to identify the element. Find the element by my question. Do we have src as a locator? Do we have src as a locator? I have shown you 8 locators. These are the 8 locators available in the Selenium to identify the element. You please observe, we have by ID, by name, actually they are listed in alphabetical order. By ID, by name, by class name we have, by CSS selector, by link text, by partial link text, by tag name, by XPath. We don't have by SRC, but any property of the element we can use in the XPath. Tomorrow we talk about this XPath in detail. Let me use it. Any property of the element, I repeat, any property of the element we can use in the XPath. By XPath, how to use the XPath? Just I'm giving the XPath expression. Tomorrow I'll discuss this in detail. In the current page, store any element inside the square brackets. Tomorrow we discuss about the syntax. At the rate property name equal to property value. I'm pasting the property value. Now I'm asking Selenium, identify the element based on the XPath expression I have given. What is the XPath expression? In the current page, any element whose SRC property is this one. After finding the element based on the SRC property, click it. Now let me run this code. Any browser open, I close it. I run this code. Your code invoke the Primus Bank application, enters username, password, and you please observe it performed logout also. It click logout also. Login and logout. I'll do this one more time. I'm running this code again. It entered username, password, login, logout. So finally, logout is performed. Finally, I want to close the browser, driver.close. Here, this is the code for the Primus Bank admin login. Slowly, we learn all the locators one by one. I use ID property, name property here. We encountered a situation to use the XPath. We'll learn about this XPath in detail tomorrow. I paste this code here. And here, sometimes we can use also tag name, I said, right? I said we can use tag name also. Once again, We use ID, we use name, and we use even link text and partial link text. Tomorrow we'll discuss about when to use class name, when to use tag name, and XPath and CSS selector in detail. Just to start with, I started just two examples for today. Here we use ID property, we use name property. In one scenario, we use link text, partial link text. And here we encountered a situation to use XPath. So tomorrow what I will discuss, where to use, when to use class name, when to use this tag name, and XPath and CSS selector we go in detail tomorrow. Okay? So you practice these two programs, we continue tomorrow. Thank you. I hope everybody you understood the two programs. This we'll discuss in detail tomorrow.
Okay.